Elio is the latest animated movie from Disney and Pixar and is out in theaters this weekend and is directed by Madeline Sharafian and Dome Shi, the latter also having directed Turning Red a couple of years ago. And in this movie you follow Elio Solis, a kid who has just been through something tragic recently, but he has one wish above everything else, which is he really wants to meet aliens and he really wants to go to space and interact with them because he believes that there's not much on Earth waiting for him. And one day a frequency is picked up which enables him to send a message out there, and he gets his wish. Aliens do respond, and he eventually is beamed up into the communiverse. And it turns out that they think he's the ambassador to the Earth. He is the leader of the planet, and now that's a role that he has to do some stuff with. That's a dream every kid has had at some point, isn't it? I hope I meet aliens someday. I really want to go to space someday. Every kid at some point of time has had that exact dream. And that's something that very much factors into Elio as well. We've all had that thought. Of course, this is built on something a lot more personal because Elio has been through something in this movie, which is, sort of the context leading into what's happening over here. But essentially what you're getting over here is a big sci-fi adventure. And the recent offerings from Pixar when it comes to some of their original ideas, I have liked some of them quite a bit. Soul, Turning Red, Elemental, which actually quite grew on me. Like, there are some good things over here, and I think with this movie, with Elio, there are some really cool things happening here too. And there are a lot of things over here that Pixar has done before, but once again, it manages to shine in those departments. Like with the animation, this is once again a very visually dazzling, vibrant movie, and it looks phenomenal. I saw this in 3D, and there are some sequences which really do pop out on screen, and there's a great use of some of those, intergalactic environments that you get to see as the movie progresses, and some of the very creative visuals that it gets to play around with that were all really well realized. And when it comes to the uniqueness of what you can do with some of the characters in this communiverse that essentially Elio is a part of, there are so many interesting things going on over there visually with every single, facet of it that it made for some very fun viewing. And there are some sequences that you get as a result of that, some space-based sequences that are also a lot of fun. There's some stuff especially towards the latter half of the movie which involves, space quite a bit. And there's some really cool things that they do over there, and those were some really, really fun moments. And I think kids will enjoy a lot of that. I also think the characters are pretty solid. Elio is very well realized. He's this very adventurous kid who is clearly trying to deal with a lot of things, and there are lessons in that when it comes to, his story, when it comes to trying to find acceptance and trying to find a sense of family and friendship and all of this that you've seen before in Disney Pixar movies. So it's very much it's one of those things where when you're watching it happen in Elio, it does feel very familiar at times. But my thing is, if you're still able to land a lot of those aspects, it still works, I think. And Jonas Kibrib, who voices Elio, I thought did a really, really great job. And his interactions, like with his aunt Olga, played by Zoe Saldana, I thought those were also really nicely handled. And there's a great dynamic between them as the movie progresses, where they really establish how the two of them are forming this connection after what Elio has been through. My favorite character in the movie, though, is Glorodon. He is this alien slug-like creature who Elio meets, and this guy is adorable. I love this character. I mean, if nothing else, I want to see more things with Glorodon. What a lovely character. Like, he's just so sweet and innocent. It's wonderful. It also has a really whimsical, fun score from Rob Simonsen, which was really nicely done. And when it has to hit those more emotional moments, it works over there too. Which is something that Pixar movies are built on quite a bit, aren't they? Those emotional beats. And there are some over here that I think are very effective, particularly towards the end of the movie when it has to land some stuff. I think in those moments it does excel the most. In fact, there's a couple of, very sweeping moments in there which definitely will, it'll get to you. One place where I do feel like Elio does suffer, though, is when it comes to exploring a few more of the ideas and the things that it introduces along the way. Because there are so many things happening at once while you're watching the movie, there are some characters and then there are some things that are, alluded to where I feel like you are sort of seeing it like in brief spurts, but not getting as much time to spend with them. And because it sometimes has way more ideas on its mind than everything that's on its plate, it can sometimes feel like, it's overburdened with a lot of that. There are some like character dynamics as a result of that I feel like you don't really get to, realize in the most complete ways as a result. There are also, like I said, some similarities when it comes to the plot and, some of the themes that are being covered over here. You've seen them many times before. And while they have an emotional impact, some of them, there are also points where it's like, all right, in this moment of time, I think the character is going to say something and the musical cue is going to go off and it's probably going to sound like this. And that's exactly what's about to happen. All right, you know what? 2 more minutes. I feel like this is what the next scene is going to be. And when you can sort of call things like that, you can, sometimes it doesn't feel like those moments can be as impactful. Yet, by the end of the movie, there are some moments where, even despite those flaws, it still managed to make those, those emotional moments really count. I feel like this is one of those things that doesn't matter in the grander scheme of things, though, because when you look at a movie like Elio, you're thinking about the kids, you're thinking about the families who are going to go see it, and they are going to get a very fun sci-fi adventure out of it. And so I feel like at the end of the day, despite some of those issues, it's still a very fun time. It's one that I think could have been in the pantheon of great Pixar movies. As it stands, it's good. It is quite good. And it's still worth checking out. And I do hope people go check it out. I do feel like there is a lot of merit to this one and what it's trying to do. And, I think it will make for some really fun weekend watching. I'm going to give Elio a 7.5 out of 10. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more videos very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe. And I'll see you guys at the movies.